And good morning. It is time for another interview segment, and I'm always so excited to have Karen Onan in with me. She is from the, let me get it, ECRDC, but she is under the RTCC. Oh, I'm tired just bringing all those up. But anyway, she's also a friend of mine for years and years and years. You might recognize the name from when she was the chamber person here for Kanabec County for years and years and years. But now she's been doing this for how many years again, Karen?
I started in June or July of 2018. The grant started in July 1st.
In July. Okay, I'm just trying to keep that straight. But I just know somebody's going to hear your voice and go, I remember her from somewhere else. Yes, the chamber is what you're thinking of. So, Karen, we've had a couple chats here under our belt, so to speak, talking about, well, go ahead and tell us what the acronym stands for.
ECRTCC.
Oh, T, not, okay. Did I write down? I probably wrote down.
No, I think you had it right. But I added the EC on the front because that's East Central. We're the East Central region of Pine, Isanti, Chisago, Kanabec, and Mille Lacs. So we're the East Central Regional Transportation Coordinating Council. I didn't make that up. That was MnDOT, okay? And since I've been with this position, there are so many acronyms. It's just crazy.
It is.
But we'll try to make sure that people hear the whole thing before or after we do the acronym.
Sure, so you know what's going on. And you guys, I mean, I know that building's been there and it's been part of the area for a long time, handling all kinds of things with transportation and others, with business and everything. It's really a big umbrella that's over this group.
Well, let's make this really confusing because I work at the ECRDC, East Central Regional Development Commission.
Exactly.
That's what you're thinking
Yes.
of. That's the building I'm in. But I'm like you said,
you're a section of it, right?
I am.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of different programs that have been brought in to do different things in that office for economic development.
Sure. And I just like to clarify that for someone listening that maybe didn't hear our other two chats, kind of what it all means.
I know.
So, Karen, today, let's get into some of the things you wanted to talk on.
Well, before we get started this morning, I'd like to ask a favor of you and to all of your audience.
Okay.
Would you all please be more aware of the transportation providers that are around you as you move around the region?
Sure.
I tend to wave at the drivers when they go by. I mean, you know, you've got these bus drivers and they're busy and they're trying to get to where they need to go. You give them a little wave and give them a little smile and they probably would appreciate that. But there are buses. If you could acknowledge the names on the buses and see where they are, recognize the area that they service. You could notice, too, there are other smaller vehicles, like vans, that are used by smaller organizations or nonprofit organizations. Phase has buses, DAV, and other veterans.
Yep, I see that DAV one every once in a while. It's got the special logo on the side.
Yeah, that's absolutely. A veteran service vehicle. You may see other organizations such as assisted living facilities and medical transportation, Shootran, you see that, and or maybe even see Uber or Lyft down, more closer to the cities. Unfortunately, I don't believe there's any up here right now. I heard there was one gal who was doing Lyft, but anybody can do that. Just let me say that if you want to be a Lyft driver, you can just sign up for it, Be aware that these services, though, are around you. They are here. Because sometime, most likely, we'll all need someone to help us to get around one day. I mean, there may not be family or a friend who can take you somewhere if you really need it. So wouldn't it be nice to know what is available before you really do need it?
Absolutely.
Just wanted to mention that on our website, we have a new portal, and I would like everybody to keep in mind that this is new, so you don't have to go through the ECRDC website to get to this. This will take you directly to where the information is about transportation. EastCentralTransit.com.
Okay.
Brand new. We're getting it set up. And so there's going to be a lot of information on there. So it's for the Regional Transportation Coordinating Council. So that's where, we will have all kinds of information of all the transportation that is in our region. But if you also want to reach me, you can always call my office. I'm not there that much, but I do go in once a week and I can pick up my messages. My number is 320-679-4065, extension 32. Or you can email me at karen.onan, O-N-A-N, at ecrdc.org. Look who just walked in. Hey, it's Helen. Helen Pieper. Helen's from Timber Trails. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, Karen. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning, Helen. Thanks for stopping in.
We're so glad to have you here.
We appreciate it. And Helen, so you're with Timber Trails, I understand.
I am. I'm the transit director for Kanabec County Timber Trails. We have the buses that everybody sees running around. We have some volunteer drivers that work with us, take people to medical appointments, and we also try to keep track of all the transportation providers in the area. I'm so glad that the RTCC is here and that we're getting things cataloged. But my dispatchers do try to keep track of who might be available and the phone numbers so that if we can't help them, we can help them get what they need for transportation.
And that's it. It's connecting those dots for people when they need help. Absolutely,
Exactly.
right? So tell me a little bit, Helen, about you. How did you get involved with this? How long have you been with Timber Trails?
Well, I've been with Timber Trails since before it was Timber Trails.
Okay.
The bus service actually started out in Mille Lacs County as the senior bus service.
Okay.
Then in 2009, Connie Strandland wanted public transit in Kanabec County in the worst way. I understand that she made it her goal before she retired to get public transit in Kanabec County, and she did it. And so in 2009, we joined up the Mille Lacs County Heartland Express, or what used to be the Heartland Express, with the Kanabec Senior Bus. And we got together and decided to call it Timber Trails. So Timber Trails has been in Kanabec now since 2009. Our employees, our people are our county employees. We live here and we work here, and I'm so proud of our staff. I'm bragging, but we have the best bus drivers and the best dispatchers, people who really care about people getting their rides. And, if somebody doesn't come out, we know our people and we care about them. And if we get an inkling that something's wrong, we do something about it. We are public transit, like the public transit services that you see in St. Cloud, although we're different. We do what's called demand response. Instead of buses going on fixed routes and having pickups at certain places, our routes are built every day based on the requests that we have. When people call in and request their ride, that's how we build our route.
Sure.
And that's where our drivers go.
And I see Timber Trails around all the time. My brother lives in an apartment building that serves a lot of people that need some extra help now and then. So I see that Timber Trails there all the time, and they are awesome. They're patient. They're kind. I know my mom needed some transport at one time to get over to the clinic and stuff, and she was in a wheelchair, so it was so nice because it's accessible that way. They can wheel you on, wheel you off. They strap that chair down. You're good to go. Very safe. And like I say, just kind people, because you have to be patient.
Yeah.
You have to realize these folks might take a little more time. You can't be in a big hurry, and they are all the above there. So you've got a great
That's right.
staff.
And I don't ever want, we hear it so often, well, I don't want to make the bus driver have to drop the lift. No, don't worry about that. That's why we have lifts on all of our buses. We're there to help you get on and off safely on the bus. We'd much rather have you even just walk onto the lift and ride up than try and take on a set of stairs.
Yep.
That would be difficult for you.
I'll ask you this really quick, Helen. So how far out can you go into the more rural, or what is the kind of the line there, so to speak?
Well, it's something called a service design.
Okay.
And it's something that we have to set up. We have to get it approved through MnDOT. They had some guidelines, when we originally set it up. They didn't want us going out more than 10 miles from the city limits of town.
Sure.
So kind of that's what we have. One of the things that I'm so excited about the RTCC's about is finally being able to tear down these silos. And I don't know if everybody understands what that means, but a silo would be when Timber Trails, who serves Kanabec County, can't cross a county line to serve somebody in Mille Lacs County or Pine County.
Right, just over the line.
It's because, it's a Kanabec County service. And so that's always been the most difficult. We've always said that it was a shame that we could never get anybody out of Kanabec County. And we have the same problem in Mille Lacs County. So getting those silos torn down, that's going to be really important for the future of transportation. So our service design can be changed, but it is a process. It's not, we can't change the service design for today to go get somebody who's outside that area. We look at it every year or every 2 years to make sure that where the ride requests are coming from are getting met. If we started to see a whole lot of ride requests coming from a pocket that's not currently in our service design, that's something that we can look at and do. Again, nothing about this process can be done in a snap. Timber Trails and all of the rural transit systems are funded with money that actually starts in Washington with FTA, flows out to the local DOTs. A lot of times there's state dollars that get added to that. So we have this pot of money that brings restrictions with it. If we want the service, and we do, and we know how much people in these rural areas need it. It's not like Maple Grove or any other larger area where you have a taxi option.
Exactly.
What
or
you
the
have
MTC or whatever.
Right. When you're in these super rural areas, you have the bus. It's always bothered me that for young mothers or people who can't drive, because there are people in our communities who can't and won't ever be able to drive. There are people in our communities who are reaching that point where they shouldn't drive anymore. And when our buses go off at 5:30 or 6 o'clock on a Friday night, they don't have options till 7 o'clock Monday morning.
Right.
And you and I, we take it for granted. We want French fries, so we go walk out to the car and we go.
Right.
One of the things that we really keep in mind when we're doing our service design and when we're thinking about public transit in rural area is transit-dependent people. That's a word that I first heard after the hurricane in New Orleans. And they had such a terrible time with folks who could not get out because they were transit dependent.
Sure.
And I started looking around, and in our community, that's what we have.
Yeah.
We have people who are dependent on somebody else to help them get this most basic need of being able to get where they need to go.
I was in a webinar yesterday, and one of the points that was made was about the health of a region or an area, and if you don't have transportation, it tends to cause the health of that area to diminish. They can't get to their appointments, or there's so many correlations and intermixtures here.
And food deserts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's a new term that has come to light in the last few years. But it's just like we talked about. If you can't go get in your car, you don't have a lot of options for where you can get food. And if you live 10, 12, 14, 15 miles out in the country, you're really dependent on your friends and your neighbors.
Living at home and staying at home and aging at home. And then we also want to talk, well, we may not have time to do it today, but the first and last mile.
Yes.
And in our region, I call it the first and last 7 miles because, you've got to be able to get to where you can get transportation.
That's right.
So how do you get from your house to where you can pick up the bus? That's where the volunteer driver program needs to come in.
Could come in, yep. Demand response service that we run actually does pick people up at their houses. But like we just talked about in the super rural areas that are beyond where the buses can go, I've had dispatchers be in tears a number of times through my career. They'll be talking to somebody and something will just break their heart, and they're trying to do this. One of the things that gets us going is when we get somebody who needs transportation a half mile outside our service area.
It's just like, really? I
There
know.
has to be a line. I hate it, but there has to be a line. If we ignore it, our service design is our authority to operate.
Right.
If we go outside that service design, then we're violating our authority to operate. We run the risk of losing our funding, or, God forbid there was an accident or something and we were operating
Exactly.
outside our service area. The risk is significant. So it's not that we don't want to go out and be where people are. We do. We really do.
And you've done the GIS mapping with MnDOT MnDOT now. And so now we've kind of got an idea of where you are in Kanabec County, and we need to figure out where are people, pockets of people who need transportation. So that's why we're looking for all of you who are listening. If you need it, call me. Let me know.
Exactly. And we've been around for a long time. You've all seen the buses. You know that we're here. We have two things that make it hard for us. Number one is people look at it and they think that it's the bus for the seniors and for folks with disabilities. That's a big part of what we do. It's important to us. But it's public transit. It's open to everybody. One of the reasons I stopped by today is I really want people to understand, for the time being, FTA is still requiring that both our drivers and our riders on the buses wear their masks yet. It is a regulatory thing. If you come out to get on the bus, we will ask you to put on a mask. You'll see our drivers still wearing their masks.
I just wanted to ask Helen, would you be sure that you mention the website, or how do people get in touch with you?
For Timber Trails,
Yeah.
we have a number. It's 320-364-1350. That'll get you in touch with any one of our dispatchers. That phone is answered live from 7 in the morning till about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Then it kind of rolls over. There is voicemail available 24/7. You can leave a voicemail to request rides. Somebody will get back to you. We have an email address that goes to all of our dispatchers so that anything that comes in on that email gets to everybody, and that's timber.trails@co.kanabec.mn.us.
Can you do your phone number again, please?
Sure. 320-364-1350 will connect you to the dispatchers at Timber Trails.
And you also have a website, right?
We do.
Yeah.
timbertrailstransit.com.
So again, Helen Pieper from Timber Trails, thank you so much for your time today. And Karen, always a treat.
Thank
You and I will be chatting some more. I want to make sure everybody knows that this update here is partially funded by MnDOT.